So I just finished watching the Scooby-Doo Where Are You gameplay reveal that was put out on Friday the 27th. This is my second time to watch this because I wanted to be sure about how I felt about this game. Now, I know I'm a little late to the party. I was expecting to get a video out to you guys, honestly, Friday night, whenever the day of them releasing this 40-minute long video, but life gets in the way. So what do I think about Scooby-Doo? Well, Spooky, you've done good. This will be your best seller and your best shooter to date. I mean, one of the big things that potential buyers were waiting on was, how does the game play? Where is the code at? These are a couple of things that a lot of people needed to know before they slid in that non-refundable deposit. And after you put on this 40-minute long gameplay video, I think the people are pretty confident to say that the code looks like it's much further along than your other games that you have put out. Some of the things I noticed is that when it comes to the screen, this game is really dependent on the screen. Whereas a lot of pinball machines you can play, even modern day ones, you can probably go without it because a lot of the things they're showing you are just, nice, pretty pictures and your score, and a lot of it isn't really needed to look at. Especially with tournament players, they're looking down at the playfield more than anything else. Whereas on this game, and I'm not saying this is the only game, guys, I'm sure there's other games out there that you really need to look at the screen, but you got to think about it. How many actually rely on a screen for you to be able to accomplish a certain task? So on Scooby-Doo, there is a particular mode, the Captain Cutler mode, that we've seen so far, that you really need to look at your monitor to monitor what your oxygen levels are. You have to hit Captain Cutler up there to get more oxygen so you can stay in this particular mode. And along with that, you also have a bravery meter that you need to keep that fed by getting Scooby Snacks in order to make sure that you stay within the mode and you don't get scared off. Plus, the bravery meter, the more full it is, then the higher multiplier that you're able to get, the higher potential score that you're able to obtain. Now, of course, you have the cutscenes that are starting up the modes and unmaskings, and you can skip through those if you want to, because they doesn't look like they change on that. So that's a lot of the things when it comes to me on a lot of games, is that the particular cutscenes or entrance to a particular mode, you've seen it before, you don't need to see it again unless you need a break. But a lot of the times I'm skipping through something to get me back to playing again. And continuing on with the monitor, it looks like they have plenty of assets. There's no issues there. Everything looked great. When it comes to the sound effects and the music, that all sounds great too. The sound effects, I didn't hear anything that bothered me or annoyed me. The music was right there with the theme, so no complaints on that either. So when it comes to the art on the playfield, obviously, that looks great. When we know that the collector's edition, that looks great too. So the game looks good. The game sounds good. It looks like the code is pretty damn far along. So how does it play? The game looks to be a fast but safe shooter. And I say that because they had long ball times. Now, obviously, these guys have designed this game. They have built this game. They've played a lot. So they know what to expect or anticipate what's going to happen next. And that's obviously going to come eventually down the road to all of you homeowners out there that are going to be able to learn the game and have long ball times as well. But I feel like the target between the flippers was very helpful in giving them longer ball times. And I'm going to anticipate that that particular target is going to be adjustable in the settings to make the game more difficult. There wasn't that many out lane drains, honestly. You got 3 lanes that you can drain from, but I want to say they definitely, I think a couple were on the right and maybe a couple of them were on the left, but it didn't happen that often. Most times it was straight down the middle. Now, the bottom playfield portion is a fan layout, but you have this side slingshot that does cause a little chaos from left to right. It can sometimes help you by knocking down the drop-down targets on the very far left of the machine, or it could possibly slam it over to the out lanes. Now, when you get up to the upper playfield, I feel like this is where it slows down a little bit. the right flipper seems to be pretty nice and strong, whereas the bookcase flipper, the left one, I wonder if that should be cranked up just a scotch, just to maybe keep both of them going fast. And that's the thing, is that even though I feel like that flipper needs to be cranked up a little bit, they made a lot of the shots with the current strength of it. I mean, there's times where they would catapult the ball using this very interesting bookcase flipper, because you can go both directions on it. You can catapult it that way or actually flip it up. I think that's very intriguing. It's a nice concept. It's, as far as I know, has never been done before. So I thought that was pretty interesting, that you can catapult a ball to make these shots. But a lot of the times I felt like it just wasn't strong enough to make those shots, whereas other times it looked like it was the perfect amount. So it was probably just a matter of having enough momentum and just hitting it just right. But I'm liking how on the code they are making it to where you have tasks on the top of the playfield to accomplish, and you have tasks on the bottom playfield to accomplish as well. So like the Captain Cutler, you had to go upstairs, or I say upstairs, up to that top playfield to get oxygen, and then you go back down to make the corresponding shots. But you have to keep an eye on your O2 as well as your bravery meter. So with a lot of things that I feel like the more I think about it, this game is going to be very mentally challenging, more possibly than actually, skill challenging. Because a lot of these particular shots that need to be made on modes are going to be time-based. So you're going to have pressure on you, and a lot of people don't do well under pressure. So I think that's where the challenging portion of this game is going to be, is wondering of like, oh man, and this is going to be adjustable in the settings on how the timers work. So if you want it to be easier, you can. If you want it to last for longer, just so you can get through particular modes or whatever, I'm sure you can adjust all that in the settings. But for those of you that feel like this is going to be an easy game, I'm sure you can also turn them to a higher difficulty to where you really got to nail those shots, because you're only going to have a few seconds to make them. So I think it's going to be able to hit a wide audience in difficulty level. Something to note, and it may not be noteworthy, but something I happened to notice was that the least common shot made during this 40-minute gameplay was the Scooby-Doo wireform shot that is behind the double-layer drop-down targets. That was only hit, I want to say, 2 times maybe? So it was 2 times that fed to the apron down there. And I've noticed that there's going to be a lot of activity when it comes to the action button. In particular modes, they were talking about how a particular mode you had to hit it a certain speed to get through it, and evidently that progressively gets harder and harder, and eventually to impossible levels where you're not going to be able to get through something. That was just something they were having to go through a lot of these rules really quickly. And especially during multi-ball, that looks like it's going to be a little bit challenging. They were trying to explain what was going on while it was going on, but it's a little difficult to hear with the game going as well. But you have to like progress character jackpots, hit certain things. If I start talking too much about code, I know that a lot of you are just going to zone out. But just so you know, I'm liking what I'm seeing when it comes to the modes, and I think it's going to be really fun to play, honestly. There is another stream on the way with Jack Danger, so they're going to have a 5-player game going to show off what this game can do. So that'll be interesting to see a skilled player like Jack, but unfamiliar with this game, play it to see how the ball times are. Something I'm unsure about, I don't think they have it implemented yet, but they have talked about it, is a cooperative mode. I honestly don't know why they do not already have that, because you would feel like for Scooby-Doo Gang, in the Mystery Machine, they are a team. So you would think that being able to solve these cases and move your way through all of these particular villains, you will be able to work together. It kind of just makes sense to me. So I'm hoping that eventually that does get integrated. The soonest I'm going to be able to play this is at Texas Pinball Festival Spooky. I'm aware of what things you have in store for people at TPF. I'm excited about it. So guys, if you are Scooby-Doo fans, I highly recommend that you get ready for TPF. They've got some plans in place, and I think you Scooby-Doo fans are really going to enjoy it. Get your cameras ready. And Spooky, please bring a good amount of games for everyone to play, so there's not like long lines, especially if the ball times are long, or change it to a 1 or 2 ball game or something like that. I just don't want to have to wait in line forever to play this damn game. And if the games haven't sold out by TPF, then by all means, Spooky, bring as many as you can, and then sell them at the show at a special show price. Like the game has to remain there all weekend and get played by the public, but maybe a reduced price on the game. I'm pretty sure you'll sell all of them, so that way you don't have to worry about bringing them back to Wisconsin. So congratulations, Spooky. I'm very happy for you. I'm glad this game is going to do so well. I believe it will. If the quality comes through to the public, I think this is definitely going to be your best game yet. That's my thoughts. What are yours?